Welcome to Tampa Home Talk with your host, native Tampa real estate girl, Katrina Madewell, a full-time, passionate, out-of-the-box thinker, love for home ownership kind of realtor with over 21 years of combined mortgage and real estate experience. Tune in every week at this time for expert advice on everything you need to know about home ownership, finance, maintaining great credit, building wealth, and making your everyday life better, and how you can be financially successful today and tomorrow. Remember, love where you live or let Katrina fix it. Now, here's your host of Tampa Home Talk, Katrina Madewell.
Good afternoon. This is your host, Katrina Madewell on the Real Estate Radio Network. We are proud to bring you Tampa Home Talk today. We are live in studio, so I'm going to give you our on-air call-in studio phone number if you have any questions for our guest today, Mark Basher. He's with Pest Patrol with a P, double P's there. And we have a lot of fabulous questions lined up, at least 5 of the most frequently asked questions that he gets. He's been in business for 23 years in the area and just an amazing guy to have in studio to talk about bugs, right? So 727-441-3000. That's our studio call-in line. You can call us and Mark will answer your questions. 727-441-3000. Again, 727-441-3000. We are also streaming live, and we will be available the whole show via a podcast. It's available YouTube, also on Facebook and Twitter and across the web. You can catch us via TuneIn Radio if your signal is a little bit staticky and you want to hear the rest of the show. Thanks so much for joining us today for the show.
Oh, thank you very much.
So let's dive right in and talk a little bit about some of the things that involve your business. And I was looking at your questions and I thought they're fabulous. And I'm going to throw myself under the bus and just talk about some myths, right, that are out there with regards to pests and insects and all of that stuff. So thanks for being our guest today. I'm glad to bring 23 years in the studio.
Okay.
So what do you think about bugs after doing it for 23 years?
It's very interesting. I mean, I've run into many things over the time. And it's kind of interesting to see how bugs have evolved, over the years, how they've become resistant to certain insecticides, and how those insecticides have to change up.
For sure.
So.
Now, I was looking at your frequently asked questions, and one of the things that you had right at the top of the list, which I thought was a fabulous place to kick our show off today, is how can people deter pests and insects and bugs from entering their home?
Right. Well, the first thing that they can do is they can walk around the exterior of their home and look for cracks or holes that are in the structure itself. Any of those cracks or holes, they really need to be patched up. Or you can put some kind of a filler in the holes, like a brass wool or something like that, in order to deter the pest from entering in.
And I think the home improvement places have the spray foam stuff that will also seal it too,
yeah,
right?
Like the Flex Seal, and you've got the foam, the foams that will go ahead and expand.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because, we're in and around houses, and the home inspectors always call those things out because they know that the bugs can get in there. But we'll see it, and I don't know a lot of times what all these little holes are for, but I know I've seen like your, Bright House Verizon, those type of companies come and drill from the exterior side of the home where they're trying to bring cable or internet or whatever it is into your home. And sometimes they move those locations.
That's right. That's right. And, that's typically it with the wires and the pipes, the pipes that are coming in for the plumbing and whatnot. Those little areas around the pipes and the wires definitely need to be sealed.
Where were those things usually? Where would people see those first? Like they would come up in the plumbing and stuff, like maybe under the toilet or.
No, typically, on the exterior of the home by the bathrooms, if those are on the exterior walls, then you're definitely going to see some kind of plumbing over there. But, when you're talking about like a faucet bib or something like that on the exterior of the home, if it's coming from the inside, if your water's coming in from the inside to the outside, you're going to have a hole there as well. But definitely when it comes to the wiring, that, contractors will come in and drill those holes like you're saying, those definitely need to be patched.
Yeah, any way they can get in. And I imagine they're looking for a nice temperature, dry type of place to hang out.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, especially here in Florida where you've got, warm and it's rainy all the time. The ants, they'll be in the ground, and if it's raining for, a week on end, you'll have ants wanting to move their nest in order to save the the babies, and so they'll go ahead and the first place that they'll come into is your home because it's dry.
Excellent point. We actually got a call this week. We don't do any property management here at Tampa Home Talk, but we do offer, tenant location. And we have a client that's out of state and you place a tenant. So she'll call us for every now and again to try to help her with stuff. But she has ants that came into the home, and it's actually a townhome, which is the responsibility of the HOA that can get a little hairy on who pays for what sometimes. Sure. But she was experiencing the same thing. And the HOA was saying that they've gotten a lot of calls and complaints lately because of all the rain, that the ants are starting to come in.
Yeah, this is definitely the worst time of the year. Over the past couple of months, Pest Patrol has received numerous phone calls about ants, and it's just one of the things that you have to deal with in Florida. And you either deal with it yourself as a homeowner, or you call in an expert.
So you see the ants definitely get moved when it's rainy, but is there other bugs? Like do the palmetto bugs or the roaches also? Definitely.
Palmetto bugs is another one on the list. They'll definitely come inside of the house during the rainy season.
So they're trying to stay, I don't imagine they probably could drown at some point, but they're trying to stay cool and dry also,
That's
right?
Correct.
So they're going to wiggle their way in any way possible.
That's correct.
So what if you haven't noticed any cracks, but you're seeing them? Do you think they slide in like under doors or?
Definitely, underneath the doors or above the doors is typically an area where we will apply a pesticide in order to create a barrier from those bugs entering, the home or the unit. So yes.
So what can someone do? Like, let's say they've walked the exterior of their home, they're having an issue with either ants or roaches or whatever the issue is. So they've looked around, they don't see any cracks, they don't see any holes, or whatever holes they found they've sealed or patched. What else could someone do before they called out a professional like you to do that?
They can go ahead and try to obtain either a granule or a liquid type insecticide and place that around the perimeter of the home. If that doesn't work, then they can go ahead and do an interior type treatment for by themselves. And when all else fails, go ahead and call an expert.
Now, how do you think that stuff varies from some of the chemicals and the things that you use?
I've looked at all of the labels on those chemicals that you would buy at a retail outlet, and a lot of them are quite watered down. They do utilize a lot of the different chemicals themselves that we utilize, but in a very weak state.
So it's just not as much.
That's correct.
So, I learned something actually today before you came on the show. We started talking, and I didn't realize that you guys have so many different types of licenses.
Correct.
And I think it's something important that we should bring up in the show today and let you announce what those 5 different types of licenses are and what they are. Like, what exactly do those mean?
Gotcha.
So I think the first one that you mentioned was lawn and ornamental.
That's correct. That's how we first got started, was with the lawn and ornamental license. Obviously, that's for treating the lawn and the shrubs and the trees around, a property.
So that simply pertains to the exterior? Is that right?
Correct.
Okay.
Treating the lawn for insects, particularly here in Florida, the chinch bugs during the warmer months.
Are those the things like the beetles? Is that the same?
They're
looks like it?
They're so small, they're probably about the size of the tip of your pen there.
Okay.
Okay, and they have different colors for the different stages of life that they're in, and
so what do they do? Well, I'm not familiar with those bugs.
They will eat away the St. Augustine grass like you could never imagine, and
Okay.
they'll do it in days.
So if your grass all of a sudden starts dying, you might have these chinch bugs in your lawn.
That's right. That's
Gotcha.
right.
And so at what point can you guys salvage that? And you said they can eat the whole grass in days?
Oh, they can go through an area like, that you wouldn't imagine in literally days.
So speaking about that, what are some of the warning signs that someone should look for that might clue them off and make them go, hey, this is probably going on?
Typically the chinch bugs will get started on in the grass areas that are next to driveways or sidewalks or the roadways. Particularly, liking that certain area because of the heat that that the concrete is giving off there. But what they'll see is they'll start seeing yellowing of the blades of grass, and then you pretty much have something going on. If the soil is dry or anything else is stressing the lawn out at that point in time, you're more than likely going to get the chinch bugs come in and try to do it off.
So they're going to try to attack a lawn that's already a little bit compromised. Is that right?
Sure.
Okay. I'm so green to this stuff. I have to ask you all these questions. So, and then the next type of license is, you said general household pest license?
That's correct.
And so what does that entail? Just the spraying on the inside?
That entails the pest treatments for general household pests, roaches and ants, silverfish, spiders, and such. And,
If you've ever had those things, like I remember one time we had those silverfish, they're like silver little bugs that they like multiply. And you still do the bait traps or no?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. Just curious, because we had those once and it was just like, where are these things coming from? But it seems like they like boxes and dark places, right? So
Correct.
If you have a box maybe that was in your garage and then you bought it inside, it's possible that
that's right.
that's where they came from.
Definitely. I mean, with the silverfish and the cockroaches, they like to hide in and out of the corrugated sections of those boxes.
Oh,
and
so you can't even see them.
Well, this is definitely something that the listeners need to know, is that if you're going to be bringing in a box inside of your house, that may have been from, in the garage or had been moved in while you were moving into the house, you definitely need to take the contents out and get that box out of the house as soon as possible, because you more than likely there's roach eggs inside those corrugated sections.
Or maybe even go through it outside, right?
That's
It might
right.
be a better plan and like clean up whatever you're going to do, wipe it down and bring it in.
Yep.
Just a better chance to eliminate that. Some of the things that I know that we've encountered, not personally, but I have seen them and I've heard about them, is the German cockroaches. And I don't know the difference, but I've always heard they're worse and they multiply. And
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, with the American brown cockroach, you're looking at one single mother having about 15 to 25 babies every 2 to 3 weeks.
So those are the regular big bugs that
Correct.
we see.
Then when you're talking about the German cockroaches, they're a lot smaller, and normally they're darker in color. And one mother will have anywhere between 20 and 30 babies every 2 to 3 weeks. So if you just do the numbers, it's an exponential craziness. 10 mothers there with that many, you're talking 200 to 300 babies every 2 to 3 weeks. It can get into an infestation in a heartbeat.
That whole thing just totally creeps me out, and I know my husband freaks about that, and I try to explain to him, and hopefully he's listening today, that it's not like, because our house is clean, but you can still get bugs if it's raining, because they're going to try to come inside.
Absolutely.
So, and I try to tell him there's a pattern here, like when it's raining outside, we might see a bug. That's kind of how the trend's going.
Yeah, I've been into a lot of homes, over the time, and it really doesn't, pests don't pick dirty homes over clean homes, more often than not. I mean, I've been into very, very clean homes, people utilizing bleach on the countertops all the time, and they'll still have pests.
They're looking for that cool place. Yeah. So our studio call-in line, in case you have any questions for our guest today, Mark Vasher, 23 years experience in the pest control industry. He's with Pest Patrol. Our studio call-in line, 727-441-3000. If you have any questions, just give us a shout today, and Chris will patch you in so you can ask Mark those questions. 727-441-3000. Again, studio call-in line. You can get to a safe place as you're driving home to dial up and ask those questions. 727-441-3000. Come back in just a minute. We're going to dive into some of those next frequently asked questions that Mark gets and some pest myths. We'll be back in just a minute.
Hi, this is Aaron Davis, owner of Hillsborough Title. Hillsborough Title is a local, family-owned title agency here in Tampa Bay. Our service, strength, and knowledge make us different. We've served Tampa Bay area for over 30 years. From Polk County to the Gulf, Pasco to Manatee, Tampa Bay, we've got you covered. Call us at 813-712-8888 or visit us on the web at thebesttitle.com. That's thebesttitle.com.
You've heard this before. Interest rates are at all-time record lows. But if your interest rate is 4% or above, you owe it to yourself to call Silverton Mortgage Specialist. Silverton is a direct lender, and the best part about this is that the entire loan process is handled in-house. From application to close, we do it all in the same building, which means that our loans close fast and our clients know what's going on every step of the way. Our contact info is located on TampaHometalk.com under Radio Show. What makes Silverton different? Products. We offer VA, FHA, USDA, and conventional loans pricing. Best rates with the lowest closing cost. Process everything in-house. It's handled right here and not outsourced to anyone that no one can reach. This way we can avoid surprises. Our people are simply the best, and we know you'll agree. What will closing Silverton Mortgage Specialist mean to you? A smooth process, real home loan value, and personal attention from real professionals. Silverton Mortgage Specialists are here to serve you. Visit TampaHometalk.com under Radio Show for all of our contact details. NMLS 109600 is an equal housing lender and Florida and Georgia residential mortgage licensee.
Hi, this is Melissa Rogers, owner of SEC Inspection Services. We're so glad that you're listening today, that we're offering you a special deal. If you're purchasing a home, you can have $50 off your full home inspection. And if you're already a client of ours, we're offering 10% off of any other service that we offer. Just give us a call at 727-786-4663 or visit us on the web at secinspection.com.
Welcome back. You're listening to Tampa Home Talk, and I'm your host, Katrina Madewell, on the Real Estate Radio Network. Thanks so much for joining us today. We have Mark Basher in studio today with Pest Patrol, and our studio call-in lines are open because we are live, 727-441-3000. So if you have some bug questions or you're wondering how to maybe treat something or get rid of a pest on your own, give us a shout, 727-441-3000. You can also catch our show in its entirety in case you're getting in and out of the car and you missed something, or you want to catch the prior information, or you missed part of the show. Just look for TampaHometalk.com. We're also on Facebook and Twitter at Tampa Home Talk. Welcome back to the show. So let's dive into the next part. I know we were talking about the different types of licenses you have to have, which there's 5 different ones. We talked about lawn and ornamental, which is how you treat the grass and that type of stuff. There's a different license for the inside.
Correct.
And then one of the next licenses is termite, right?
That's correct.
And is that just to do termite inspection, or what is that?
No, that's to do termite treatments and inspection. And that's pretty much it. I mean, there's so much of it going on and so much devastation caused by it that there's a separate license for it.
Well, I imagine the chemicals and the treatments and the process and like everything you have to do for each one of these categories and licenses are different.
Correct.
And that's probably hence the reason why there's different licenses.
Correct. I mean, and there's changes that take place with the chemicals that get utilized and the way that that the rules, laws, and regulations have us on doing types of treatments. So for each one of these licenses, we have to take continuing education on a yearly basis in order to maintain our
to renew
license.
and keep
That's
it.
Correct.
Gotcha. So one of the other ones you talked about, and I know you said your company doesn't do it, but it's one of the ones that are out there, is fumigation and tinting.
That's correct. There are companies out there that do the fumigation or the tenting for homes, and they'll do it for cases where there's a severe infestation of some type of pest.
And that could be roaches or termites or anything, right?
That's right.
Those are the big blue tents that you see the entire house.
Yeah,
covered
sometimes
in.
they're white and yellow, looking tents, but they do their job on that, and
And so the last one was lake and pond.
It's an aquatic
pest or an aquatic license.
That's right. So that's the treatment of the weeds and algae and whatnot in lakes and ponds.
That's so fascinating. I would love to talk about that because I know we are on the water and constantly we see the grass kind of go down into the lake, and it's like, how do you get rid of that? how do you get rid of the grass like in the lake so it looks nice but not kill the fish or any of the animals in the water?
Right. Well, that's why that's why there's state testing and whatnot to obtain these licenses, so that you know how to utilize those chemicals appropriately. For the most part, herbicides aren't going to affect or harm any kind of living animal, but definitely when you're putting large doses of these chemicals into a pond, more than likely you're going to be doing some type of damage that you're not intending to do.
So are the pesticides that you use for under that aquatic license for the lakes and the ponds, is it safe for the most part for the animals and the fish?
As long as the labels are being followed, as they've been written, then yes.
So that makes sense. And I would love if we have time to talk about that a little bit more as the show progresses. Now, when you're talking about, and this is a great one, actually, I have no idea the answer to this question, and I can't wait for you to answer it. And if you're listening to the show and you want to call in, I'm going to give you our studio call-in lines because we're live, not always, because we're here every Thursday and Saturday at 5. But today we are live, 727-441-3000. In case you have any questions for Mr. Mark Basher, 727-441-3000. So the key visual differences between flying ants and termites, that one's fabulous.
Yeah, I get that one all the time. And, the key visual differences, ants will have elbow-type antenna, whereas termites do not. Ants will have a pair of wings, whereas the back wing will be smaller than the front wing. On a termite, the wings are both the same size and shape, okay?
So they have two different sets of wings?
There's, two wings on each side.
Okay, I was thinking you were saying 4. I was like, wow, I never noticed that.
Yeah. And the other things you'll have there is the veins inside of those wings. There's fewer veins in the wings of the ants, whereas there's a lot more veins in the wings of the termites. So it makes it look lace-like. Okay, and then finally, the ants have longer legs than termites do. Okay.
Gotcha. But I imagine they probably resemble a lot of things, and to the layperson, you might not be able to tell those.
No, absolutely not.
Because I know I see ants with wings, and if the buyer is not getting a loan that requires a termite inspection, maybe they weren't going to get it. If I see an ant with a wing, I'm like, you better order a termite inspection just in case.
Well, it's not just a termite inspection, because those inspections that are required, for the mortgage or for the loan company, whatever it might be, those are actually WDO, wood destroying organism inspections. Okay, so the flying ants, which are typically going to be your carpenter ants,
yeah,
those
so I was
are
going to
actually
ask you
doing
how those
damage
vary.
as well.
Okay.
So that's why
those are the big ants, right? The carpenter ants are the big ones with the wings.
Well, they can be smaller as well. It just depends on the stage of the life cycle that they're in. For instance, just this past month, you typically have the reproduction taking place for the carpenter ants, and there was quite a bit of flying ants out there that a lot of people were thinking were termites. Okay.
Now how far do they fly?
Typically what I see is that they'll be around a body of water, so there might be like a lake or a pond near the structure, and maybe a quarter of a mile, in my experience, is where I've seen them fly around to, and they'll find themselves up into like the attics. Okay, and then they'll try to do some type of damage.
With the carpenter ants, what do those eat? I mean, obviously termites eat wood. Regular ants are looking for food.
The carpenter ants will be eating wood as well.
So they eat wood too?
That's correct.
How does the damage that they do compare to what termites do? Like, is one more slower moving than the other?
Sure. Carpenter ants are definitely slower eating it than the termites would be. Okay.
But they're still going to eat wood like termites, so they can still essentially do the same damage.
Correct. Just takes longer time.
Do they tunnel like termites do?
Or creating like a galley type thing?
Yeah, or is that just subterranean?
Yeah, you'll see that in both, the drywood termites, subterranean termites. You'll see that with ants as well. Okay, and you'll also get the sawdust, like little mountains. Okay, that'll give you a good indication.
Those are termites
with the termites. Yep.
I was gonna say now regular ants, do they eat wood or no? It's just the carpenter ants, right?
Correct, and it's really the carbohydrates that they're going after.
I
than they would.
gotcha. It's interesting because the layperson definitely, I don't think, knows the difference in ants and termites, and they all kind of look the same. It's a bug, right?
Yeah.
So boric acid, we've heard that, and I think this is something that grew up maybe like in my grandpa's day and in his generation. And I've heard that before, but I don't really know how people would utilize it. So maybe you can share like what people think and how it actually works. But does boric acid actually take care of the pest problems?
Well, it's definitely part of the solution. Boric acid, it's not so much utilized today in its raw form. It is utilized, but not as much. What a lot of these manufacturers have done is that they've worked off of the boric acid and created new types of products that work more efficiently for us. Okay, more water resistant, so they don't clump up like a boric acid would, and but it definitely has its place in the solution. Okay.
So how would most people apply boric acid? Just out of curiosity, do they leave like a little tub, or do they spread it around? Are they spraying it?
I mean, I've been into homes where people have put it inside of the corners of the baseboards and whatnot. You can do that, but if you've got pets or children in the house, definitely wouldn't recommend.
That was my
doing
next
that.
question. Is
Okay.
it harmful to pets?
I definitely wouldn't have it around pets or small children. Okay, I mean, if you're going to be putting it anywhere, it might be inside of like the cabinets in the kitchen and in the bathrooms. Cabinets.
Those nice little wet, cold, dry, dark areas, right? It's where the roaches like, because they're nocturnal bugs, aren't they?
Well, for the most part, you'll see them come out at night, but I've been in plenty of places where while I'm working and completing a treatment, they'll be swarming around me.
Is there certain bugs that are nocturnal versus not?
For the most part, they're going to be hiding, from a threat like yourself, and so then they'll, for the most part, come out during the nighttime.
Okay.
But they're
nocturnal just for like a self-defense mechanism.
Yeah, and then when you've got spiders, for instance, the fishing spiders, the large fishing spiders, they'll come out at nighttime because their prey comes out at night. They're eating cockroaches. Okay.
Yeah. My husband has this running joke, like if you have the spiders, then you don't have the roaches. But, I guess you have to pick your battles at that point.
Yeah.
So you're listening to Tampa Home Talk, our studio call-in line, 727-441-3000. If you have any questions for Mr. Mark Vasher with Pest Patrol, 727-441-3000. We're going to take a really quick break. When we come back in a minute, we're going to talk about how you can effectively treat your lawn for insects, fungus, weeds, and more. And then we'll get into some of the myths and frequently asked questions that people get. We'll be back in just a minute.
You're buying a house. Congratulations. So while you're worrying about the paperwork, leave the moving part to us. We're Woody & Sons Moving Company, a Florida licensed and insured mover, and we offer same-day written estimates. Plus, no sneaky mileage, stairs, or additional stop fees. All we ask is that you check out our great ratings on Google and Angie's List, then go to woodyandsons.com to learn more. Whether you need a full-service pack and move or some extra hands, at Woody & Sons Moving Company, we move you.
You've heard this before. Interest rates are at all-time record lows. But if your interest rate is 4% or above, you owe it to yourself to call Silverton Mortgage Specialist. Silverton is a direct lender, and the best part about this is that the entire loan process is handled in-house. From application to close, we do it all in the same building, which means that our loans close fast and our clients know what's going on every step of the way. Our contact info is located on TampaHometalk.com under Radio Show. What makes Silverton different? Products. We offer VA, FHA, USDA, and conventional loans pricing. Best rates with the lowest closing cost. Process everything in-house. It's handled right here and not outsourced to anyone that no one can reach. This way we can avoid surprises. Our people are simply the best, and we know you'll agree. What will closing Silverton Mortgage Specialist mean to you? A smooth process, real home loan value, and personal attention from real professionals. Silverton Mortgage Specialists are here to serve you. Visit TampaHometalk.com under Radio Show for all of our contact details. NMLS 109600 is an equal housing lender and Florida and Georgia residential mortgage licensee.
Aaron Davis here, owner of Hillsborough Title, serving all of Tampa Bay. Our service, strength, and knowledge make us different. From Polk County to the Gulf, Pasco to Manatee, Tampa Bay, we've got you covered. Visit us on the web at thebesttitle.com. That's thebesttitle.com.
Tampa Bay's Tan Talk. Entertaining and informative radio for the Sunshine State.
Welcome back. You are listening to the last half of Tampa Home Talk on the Real Estate Radio Network. I'm your host, Katrina Madewell, and in studio today we have Mark Vasher, 23 years in the pest control industry, works with a fabulous company, part owner, Pest Patrol, and we had some great questions that we answered in the beginning part of the show. So if you missed any part of today's show, where we talked about what you can do to deter pests from entering your home. What do you look for when you're inspecting for termites? What are the key differences between flying ants, termites, carpenter ants? There's so many variations of ants. Boric acid, and much more. You'll definitely want to catch out our show in its entirety. We replay it via a podcast that's available. We also have it available on YouTube, and you can find it on our show page on Facebook, Twitter, and across the web. Just search for Tampa Home Talk, and you'll find myself and my amazing guests that I have in studio like Mark today. So if you have any questions for Mark, since we are live this Thursday afternoon, our studio call-in lines are 727-441-3000. I know somebody out there has a bug you got a question about. 727-441-3000. So one of the other questions that you get a lot is how can people treat their lawn for insects, fungus, weeds, that type of stuff?
Correct. All of those things can be treated by a homeowner. What I do suggest is that they get in touch with their local county extension to figure out what the nutrient requirements are for that particular type of grass that's in their yard, as well as what the soil conditions are like. They can take a sample of their soil over to the county extension and have that analyzed for them.
Let's talk about that for just a moment, because I think that the average person, I'm pretty sure that I speak for a lot of people when I say that they don't know what the county or city extension service is. So will you elaborate on that just a little bit before you continue as far as what that county or city's role is? Because there is, within pretty much every municipality, they normally have an extension service.
Right. They provide different services, and everything from financial type services to the agricultural type services. Really.
Now, they deal with like moles and like the ones that travel underground and tunnel, right? Do they deal with those too? I think they do.
Some of the county extensions deal with different things, whereas others won't.
So gators, what are we?
No, I mean, I've run into to several different county extensions, and some of them will have an expert on site for particular type of insect or whatnot, and so it all varies by county, but it's definitely a good source to start with, to visit the county extension to get,
Will their budgets probably vary from one place to another also?
I couldn't tell you that. I have no idea.
I'm sure it does. Every county and municipality has a different budget and amount they spend and they get and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So to treat it, you have to figure out what nutrients it's lacking, what it needs.
Definitely, because here in Florida we have different types of grass. You've got the St. Augustine, and there's different variations of the St. Augustine. You've got the zoysia grass, which is now being utilized quite a lot.
Yeah, that one's getting popular. We're starting to hear that one a lot.
It sure is. Then you've got Bermuda and Bahia grasses. So all of those different grasses require different nutrients at different intervals throughout the year. And each one of them comes along with its own, basket of either insects or fungus. Okay.
Now, the fungus, is that usually what starts discoloring the grass first, or no?
A fungus will definitely turn, patches of grass brown, or you'll get what they call dollar spot, where you'll see little brown patches in the grass. That can happen in both the St. Augustine and the zoysia. In my experience, zoysia seems to be a lot more susceptible to fungus than the other types of grass here in Florida.
Why is that one gaining so much popularity? Does it need less water usually to grow, or what's the deal with that one?
Supposedly it's supposed to need less watering because the roots are shallower than the other varieties. But I remember that. I remember zoysia being tried out in Florida back in the late 80s, early 90s, and it kind of petered off there for quite a while. And then over the past couple of years, it seems to be making a comeback.
I'm always curious why that type of stuff happens, like why there's changes. Like, is it aesthetic? Is it pests? Is it, water? Like, what's the key reasons why people change those type of trends?
Maybe aesthetic. Contractors will typically put in something that's going to, attract a buyer to buying a house.
Maybe it lasts a little longer, needs a little less water.
Right.
That kind of thing's always important.
Sure.
Because, the builders, they're constantly trying to water and make sure because it's expensive to resod a lawn. So they want to make sure that, with the grass they have there will stick around for a while. So what do they do exactly? Just so I'm clear, as far as treating that lawn, I mean, they have to figure out what it needs, but like, what do they do? What if they don't know?
Right. Well, you can split it up. I mean, you've got the chemicals that you need to utilize for the fertilizer, and then you've also got insecticides that you're going to have to purchase, as well as fungicides to purchase in order to be treating your lawn. And then finally, you've got herbicides for weed control within the lawn. So there's quite a few products that have to be purchased in order to maintain that lawn, yourself. When it comes to the fertilizer, like I was saying, the county extension can help you figure out the nutritional requirements and the intervals at which to put that down onto the turf. That's fairly an easy one to figure out. When it comes to the insects, though, a lot of homeowners need to realize is that they may have one particular type of insect in their lawn and not realize it and be treating it with a particular insecticide that isn't labeled for that insect. And so they could be really wasting money with the purchase of that particular insecticide that they had used.
Will it do any further damage if they're using the wrong thing to treat the wrong thing?
Well, the insect will just continue.
It'll multiply.
That's right.
That's what I was wondering. I was thinking about that because with any business, like your business or my business, I'm obviously going to know a lot more about like contracts and real estate specifics and things that are around real estate law than you would. And the same thing goes with grass and pest and that type of stuff. I could easily see where someone would treat a lawn with the wrong thing because they're not sure. Like they're thinking what it is. And the problem is with the internet, there's so much information and some of it's opinion and some of it's fact.
That's right.
So I think it really takes someone with the appropriate license and knowledge and experience that deals with this stuff on a regular basis to kind of understand what's going on.
Well, but it also, if you really need to compare the cost, associated with it. I mean, if you go as a homeowner, if you go out and you try to purchase the fertilizer, the insecticide, the fungicide, and the herbicide that you need in order to maintain your lawn, and you weigh that against how much it costs to hire an expert to come in and take care of it on a monthly or an every 6-week basis, a lot of times you'll find it's a lot cheaper just to hire an expert because they have access to those different chemicals and they have the knowledge to detect what insects are in your lawn or what type of fungus is in your lawn at the time and how to appropriately treat that.
I mean, it makes sense to me, and what I'm thinking is who would want those chemicals sitting around anyway? I wouldn't.
Well, yeah, you don't want them sitting around in your garage, especially, there again, if you've got children or you've got pets, if it's in the garage, it's just more likely that someone may get into it that shouldn't be.
Now, is your company, is that green certified? Are you green certified, or is that a training or a license, or do you know?
No, I'm not familiar with that.
Because I know there seems like there's more and more like green designations and that type of stuff. And I was just curious if you had any opinion or thoughts on green products, because I've heard very mixed things. Like sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. Well,
there's a lot of different organic type insecticides that definitely work, and we do utilize those in our daily practice.
So is that with everything or just with as much as you can?
As much as you can possibly utilize. That's for both the lawn as well as the general household pests that we run into. Okay.
So, and we were talking, I know before the show started about fleas and that type of stuff. And I know for me, I've been out showing properties, and especially with all the bank-owned properties and the vacant properties we've had, it's crazy. Some of these places have just a total infestation of fleas, not only on the inside, but on the outside. And it's just gross. I mean, and if you have a pair of like white socks on or anything, they're going to flock right to your socks. I mean,
absolutely.
I've gotten bit so bad being out just with that. And that's why I keep bug spray in my car just to alleviate that in case it happens. It's like the daily things that we do sometimes are nuts. And you don't think about that stuff till you bring it up or you start talking about it. So what do you do in a case like that where you have fleas infested either in your house or in the lawn? Because that's where they come from, right? Even if you get them away in the house, that the animal can go outside, come back in, boom, you got them again.
Right. I mean, the animal needs to be treated. If you don't treat the animal, you're definitely going to continue to have the issue. There's no doubt about that at all.
Yeah, because they're going after them. It's like, anything else that's attracted to blood or whatever it is, they're going after your pet.
That's right. Once the pet is treated, then you can go ahead and start utilizing some kind of pest treatment in order to resolve this, the issue, both on the outside and the inside.
What's the multiplication like on that? Do you know? Because I think fleas multiply like crazy numbers.
Yeah, you're going to have one mother that's going to create 1,000 babies.
Oh my gosh. So one little flea turns into 1,000. That is nuts.
That's right.
And those fleas are tiny. I mean, and I guess that's why you could get so many of them.
Oh yeah.
So talk about the raccoons, the possums, the squirrels, because you guys deal with some of that too, right?
Absolutely. Homeowners definitely need to take a walk around the exterior of their home and look up at the eaves and look up at where the different sections of the roof meet one another, and make sure that all of those holes are all covered up, either with wood or some kind of a hardware cloth type thing, in order to make it to where nothing can get into the attic. We run into that a lot with squirrels, the raccoons, the opossums, getting into people's attics, doing damage up there, dying up there. Then you've got a
horrible smell in your house
on the inside of the house, and then trying to find that animal once it's died up there in the attic.
You'll find it once it's dead.
It's not always so easy. A lot of times they'll be up in a little crevice in the attic where you can't get to, or they have fallen down into a void, within a wall. So then you're going to have to start cutting holes into the wall in order to try to, find this animal. So it's always easier to just deter the pest by closing up those holes on the outside.
And so let's talk about that, because I'll bring up another point, and I know our inspectors tag this all the time, which is why we see it, and I'm constantly telling buyers this if we're out looking at properties and I notice it. But you have to pay attention to the shrubberies and the trees and all that type of stuff on the outside of your home.
Definitely.
If you have trees that are too close to your home, and the squirrels or any of those animals can get up the tree and on your roof, that's how they're going to get into your house.
You got it.
And we're starting to see more and more the vent stacks or the lead boots on the attic. Everybody has them, right? Because everybody has indoor plumbing. The squirrels love those things. They jump from the trees literally to your roof, and they sharpen their teeth on the lead boots on the roof so that they can eat acorns and nuts and that type of thing better. And we're starting to see on the 4-point inspections that you have to get a decent insurance rate, they're flagging those things, and they're requiring those things to be fixed. And it's such a simple, inexpensive fix. Like, it's really not an expensive thing to do, but they can do a lot of damage if they keep gnawing and eating. They can rust. I mean, there's a lot of things that can happen.
Sure.
But it's just amazing, something as simple. And I had a roofer actually teach me that one time. I'm like, why do they get like that? I see this all the time in these houses, on these inspections. Like, why are these things always chewed up? Well, the squirrels go sharpen their teeth on it so they can eat nuts. It's like, you don't think about that stuff. But surely the trees, pay attention to the stuff touching your house or anything that's close enough that a squirrel can jump. Everybody's seen a squirrel jump.
Yeah, not just squirrels, but I mean, the trees and the shrubbery around the house. You need to keep all that away in order to keep things like ants from crawling on over and making homes up there in the eaves and in the attics.
I'll tell you another thing too, and these are like the small things that homeowners should be paying attention to, or even tenants, because they can cause a much bigger problem. Like if the trees are not trimmed and that type of stuff. We had a house before that, and it wasn't a personal house. When I say a house, I mean for a client. But there was rats that actually got up into the attic through those vent ridges on the edge of the roof. Right. They got in there and literally chewed through the ductwork in the attic.
Sure.
So the AC ducts just no. That's super expensive.
Sure.
When you have to go in and start replacing all the ductwork in the house, and then sometimes even the AC system if it gets too far.
Yep, you got it.
And so that little bit of deferred maintenance can be huge, just to patch up those holes, make sure that animals can't get in. Anything else you guys are seeing?
Yeah, on a lot of the manufactured homes out there, how they'll set the home up on the concrete
they're
bricks.
up on stilts or
That's
something.
right.
It's not a slab.
The one thing that I always recommend to customers is go ahead and get yourself some of that hardware cloth from the retail outlet, and go ahead and attach that to the side, of the home in order to close off the underside of the structure.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, in those crawl spaces, anything that has those little crawl spaces, you can certainly get critters in there. We're going to have to take a really quick break, but when we come back in a second, we're going to talk about some of the critters that you guys might see under there and some of the things that you might have to chase down. And then hopefully Mark has some funny, fantastic stories. I love to share a little bit of humor the last part of the show. So you're listening to Tampa Home Talk. This is your host, Katrina Madewell. We'll be back in just a minute. Stand by.
Hi, this is Aaron Davis, owner of Hillsborough Title. Hillsborough Title is a local, family-owned title agency here in Tampa Bay. Our service, strength, and knowledge make us different. We've served Tampa Bay area for over 30 years. From Polk County to the Gulf, Pasco to Manatee, Tampa Bay, we've got you covered. Call us at 813-712-8888 or visit us on the web at thebesttitle.com. That's thebesttitle.com.
You're buying a house. Congratulations. So while you're worrying about the paperwork, leave the moving part to us. We're Woody & Sons Moving Company, a Florida licensed and insured mover, and we offer same-day written estimates. Plus, no sneaky mileage, stairs, or additional stop fees. All we ask is that you check out our great ratings on Google and Angie's List, then go to woodyandsons.com to learn more. Whether you need a full-service pack and move or some extra hands, at Woody & Sons Moving Company, we move you.
Hi, this is Melissa Rogers, owner of SEC Inspection Services, where we offer full inspections and insurance inspections. Give us a call at 727-786-4663 or visit us on the web at secinspection.com.
Welcome back to Tampa Home Talk, and we are talking about just a delightful thing today. bugs, and more bugs. Not something fun. Trying to keep my producer back there from yakking. Anyway, we really have some great information for you today for homeowners and even tenants alike. I know Jen was talking about even the apartment that she's in having fleas, and sometimes that stuff can be there even when you move in. So if you missed any part of today's show, catch our show in its entirety, because we had some of the 5 most frequently asked questions that Mark Vasher gets. And you can find the show in its entirety very soon across the web, on Facebook, on Twitter, and simply by going to our website at tampahometalk.com. Our off-air number, in case you want to call us or text us, you have questions about today's show, or if you have questions for our guest, 813-377-2775. Again, you can call or text us at our off-air number. We'll be happy to answer any real estate or other questions. 813-377-2775. So we were talking, and I asked Mark during the break. I said, nothing crazy like squirrels jumping on your head or anything like that. He's like, no. Like, I said, all right, so let's share the horror story. So we're gonna dive in. This is not for the weak stomach.
No, definitely not. I mean, talking about those fleas, they can definitely, it can become a very, very bad problem real fast. And I'd gone into one house one time at the request of a property manager, and I always start in the back room for the treatments. I walked in there, and wearing khaki pants on at the time, and had finished spraying the floor of that room. And then I looked down at my pants, and they literally looked black. And it was just fleas all over the place.
I can't even imagine how many millions of fleas that is.
There weren't hundreds, there weren't thousands. There was definitely a million fleas on me at the time. And so, I had to go outside there and spray them off, knock them off. And then what I ended up doing is I lifted up my pant legs there, and they had gotten underneath the pant legs, and they were on my legs all the way up to my knees, okay, and just eating away at me. And was able to get them all off and got in touch with the property manager, and was wondering why she hadn't told me that it was so bad in there. I had to go back over there with a full out suit on, and with the suit duct taped to my boots and to my gloves, with a full face mask on in order to treat this house.
Talk about hazmat.
Oh, tell me. So it can definitely get crazy. I mean, when it comes to cockroaches, I've definitely have seen infestations of cockroaches, gone into people's homes there where they've let it just get out of control. And literally you'll see cockroaches down the tubes for the bed frames. If you look down the tubes with a flashlight, you'll see just nothing but cockroaches, squirming around in there.
That is creepy.
It's something like out of a movie. So...
talking about the fleas too, I was thinking about you wearing this crazy, suited up.
Oh, the neighbors all came out wondering what was going on.
Can you imagine the poor pets? Because they're not going to really eat you. They bite humans and jump off, but the pets, they're literally sucking their blood.
Yeah, it's that's just it's cruel to the animal, and definitely you don't want to be doing that.
So you had another story too. You're starting to tell about during the break. You said something about a couple kids and. What was the story? You forgot?
No, I don't know.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So one of the myths, and I have to share this one because I'm going to admit it and throw myself under the bus, but I always thought that bed bugs were a myth. I totally thought, oh, good night, don't the bed bugs bite. That whole fairy tale rhyme. No, bed bugs are real. You can Google this and look it up. They are real, and they come out at night. Mm-hmm. They suck your blood
they
like
come
vampires.
out at night in order to feed, and they feed off of the blood. Okay, and what it'll feel like is like a pinprick. Okay, and so some people are more susceptible to getting the little red bumps from these things. Other people, they'll have the type of skin where it really doesn't show up as much. But yeah, they're definitely get bed bug infestations. It's really a thing that's taking. They're kind of going crazy throughout the United States right now. And, with the advances in technology and travel, these things they're traveling around in people's suitcases. And,
That's one of the things that I think about because I travel and I often wonder, all right, if I'm checking into a hotel, and it probably helps if you stay in a better hotel, but how can you tell where should you look for bed bugs before you check in and get in bed?
right I mean, when you walk into a hotel room, it's going to be lighted in the inside, so more than likely the bed bug is going to be hiding, and they'll typically be hiding in the headboard of the bed, or they'll be up underneath the linens or up underneath the mattress. The other place they like to hide in is where the baseboard and the carpet meet.
Can you see them with the eye?
They are so small. It's like the tip of your pen. They're so small you have to magnify your phone camera in order to be able to see them. It's crazy.
So they're not even as big as a flea.
The adults are definitely going to be the size of a flea. Okay.
Ooh.
Yep.
Bugs.
And if you really looked at them, they kind of look like a cockroach from above. But if you look at them from the side, they're completely flat.
Ooh.
And that's how you know the difference.
I'm now I totally look for that stuff. I'm just digging and looking under stuff. I don't know if I'm looking enough to find it, but I'm going to try just in case. You're listening to Tampa Home Talk. Thank you so much for joining us today. We've had a good time, even though we're talking about bugs with Mark Vasher of Pest Patrol. Not an easy job, I'm sure, by any means. So if you want to hear our show in its entirety, we had a bunch of wonderful frequently asked questions that Mark gets on a daily basis. I am sure one of those questions will bring you a lot of value. So if you didn't have a chance to catch our whole show, go to TampaHometalk.com and you will see not only Mark's information where you can reach him, but we'll post the show there where you can listen to the whole thing in its entirety. We're also across the web on Facebook and Twitter. And TampaHometalk.com, 813-377-2775. Our off-air number, again, you can call or text, 813-377-2775. Thanks so much for joining us this week. This Saturday, we have Woody & Sons in studio, our moving show partner. This week, we're out.
Or my mommy will fix it. And we're out.